Hello, I am Samay Vashne, having roll number 180101097, currently studying computer science and engineering at IIT Guwahati. Here I am going to talk about virtual memory in Windows XP in operating systems. We'll talk about virtual memory, implementation of virtual memory, Windows XP, virtual memory, memory leaks in Windows XP, page file overview, changing its size, regarding page files, how do we work with drives for page files, what are problems encountered, and then defragmenting the page file. And finally, we are going to compare Windows XP and Linux. A memory management procedure is needed when the RAM is full. Virtual memory technique allows the execution of the processes that are not completed in memory. One major advantage is that program can be larger than the physical memory. So here we can see that virtual memory size is more than main memory, and it due to this fact it supports more processes for a user at a time. Here it makes the illusion that uh, system RAM is more with the help of virtual memory. OS creates a temporary section of volatile memory in secondary storage. It is useful since only a portion of program is present in memory at any instance. Currently, not needed pages are swapped in and out by the process, like seen in the figure. The swapping in and out happens as and when needed from the backing store of the pages. Hence, memory requirement is satisfied by swapping in and out, and this swapping in and out occurs due to virtual memory. Processes are sent from physical to virtual memory and back to the physical memory as and when needed. Uh, we will talk about virtual memory in Windows XP. In Windows XP, it uses VMM for implementing virtual memory, and it creates 4 GB of continuous space. In Windows XP, it is present as page file. The virtual memory is named as pagefile.sys, and it's stored in the root folder in which Windows XP is installed, by default full drive C, and it is responsible for swapping in and out as we have seen earlier. Each process is given a unique 4 GB unique address space, 2 for process and 2 for kernel modes. So memory leaks are a common problem in any operating systems, as we know. In Windows XP UMDP, a user mode dump heap provides a way to find the memory leaks and fix them, but the memory itself is low, then we can't fix it using softwares like UMDP. We need to increase the virtual memory. Uh, The error out of virtual memory can be examined using Task Manager in Windows XP, as we can see in here. Commit charge measures the amount of committed virtual memory, which is seen here. The limit is the total page file sizes which are accessible to the user, and peak is the highest boot recorded since boot. Since these two values are nearly same in this figure, so we need to increase the virtual memory here. We can see that page file usage is also too much high, so we need to increase virtual memory. So user must be logged in as an administrator to complete these procedures. Here are some steps. First, we will open the system properties, and we will go to advanced section, and then go to settings under performance. Then in the performance option, we will go to advanced tab, and then under the virtual memory section, which is showing the total page sizes for all the drives, we will go to change a button. Then we will select a drive to store the paging file. We will choose no paging file if we want to disable the page file. Here initial size means the actual size of the virtual memory, and maximum size means the maximum size of virtual memory that the system is allowed to use. If we want to do this over another drive, or want to use multiple drives for the page file storage, then we will follow this procedure. Uh, for the initial size, it is recommended to use the value in the total paging file size for all the drives box. Since it is safe, then we will click set and click OK, and then decreasing the size will require us to restart the system, and increases do not require a restart. Uh, Regarding page file and process, to have Windows choose the best paging file size, we will go to manage size, and we will set initial size to less than minimum recommended size for best performance. By default, Windows XP sets the initial size to 1.5 times the RAM amount and maximum to 3 times. For example, we are having 215 MB, for example, then initial size will be 1.5 times of 512, which will be 768, and the maximum size will be around the 3 times of 512. To delete a paging file, we will set both the initial size and maximum size to 0, or we will choose the no paging file option as seen in the figure to disable the paging file or virtual memory. When we are using an application which is using a lot of memory, then we can increase the initial size of the paging file, which will reserve the initial space on the disk for that application. Working with drives for page files. To best optimize the virtual memory, we will divide it across multiple hard drives, as we can then uh, extract the data from multiple drives for the virtual memory. So while selecting a drive, we have to keep following things in mind. We should avoid having page file on same drive. We should store the page file on the fastest access time and most free disk, and we should not place the multiple page files on different partitions for the same disk. To maintain overall good system performance, we should use the default size, which is triple the value of the main memory size for the maximum size, as we have seen earlier. If we found that it is not sufficient, then we should add more main memory to the system, and we should not exceed the maximum size of virtual memory. What are the problems in disabling page files? Page file is a part of Windows XP operating system. Even if we have a lot of RAM, then even a page file is needed. Since when certain applications start, they allocate a huge amount of memory, even though it might not use it. There are some applications like Adobe Photoshop which will display warnings on start of which no page file is present. Even no gain is found by turning off the page file. Uh, Even having a large virtual memory size is not good idea, since it will create performance lagging and it will take the HDD free space also. So the system needs to transfer the application data instructions back and forth between the virtual memory and system memory. So we should not disable the page file. Defragmenting page file. As Windows XP dynamically sizes the page file, it is possible that it will become fragment and it will lead to performance hit. So to resolve it, we have to temporarily disable the page file. Here are the steps to follow. Open the virtual memory box and select no paging file, and then defragment the disk, and then open the virtual memory and restore the settings, and then restart the computer. To determine whether page file is defragmented, then we will run disk defragmenter and analyze the info for the partition that contains the page file. Now talk about comparison of Windows XP and Linux. Windows XP has a microkernel where user and kernel services both are kept in separate address space, while in Linux both are kept in same address space. Advantage of microkernel is that they are smaller in size and are easily extendable. Windows manages the virtual memory in a tree data structure while Linux uses linked list. Even though both can access up to 4 GB of physical memory, difference lies in the fact that in Windows 2 GB of upper and lower parts of physical memory are allocated for kernel and user mode, while in Linux it is 1 GB. So here we can see that kernel space is more in the monolithic kernel, while there is separate user spaces kernel space in microkernel. In monolithic kernel, both user space and kernel spaces are kept in the same address space. That's why the kernel space is showing here more. So in this slide we have talked about the Windows XP virtual memory and how we can change the virtual memory in Windows XP, how we can handle the defragmentation, and how we can disable the page files, how we can work with the page files, and finally the comparison of Linux and Windows XP. So here are some of the references which I have used while preparing the slides. You can refer to them. Thank you.